Motivation is a liar. Not maliciously, it just doesn't know any better. It shows up when conditions are perfect, when you slept well, when the sun is out, when nothing hard happened today. And it vanishes the exact second you need it most. If you've ever wondered why you can commit to something with total conviction on a Sunday night and feel nothing but resistance by Tuesday morning, this is why. You were never missing willpower. You were relying on a feeling that was never designed to be reliable. Here's the distinction almost nobody draws clearly enough: motivation is an emotion. Discipline is a decision, made once, in advance, so you don't have to remake it every single day under worse conditions than the day you made it. That's the entire difference, and it changes everything about how you should build a life you're proud of. Think about the moment you decide to start something new, a workout routine, a business, a book you're finally going to write. In that moment, motivation is enormous. You can see the finished version of yourself clearly. It feels almost effortless to imagine following through. That feeling is real, but it's also temporary by design, because emotions fluctuate, that's their entire nature. Expecting motivation to carry you for months is like expecting the weather to stay sunny forever just because it was sunny on the day you planned a trip. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. That's not coldness, it's the entire point. A disciplined person still doesn't want to train on the day they're exhausted. They still don't feel like writing when the page is blank and nothing's coming. The difference is they built a system that doesn't require the feeling to show up in order for the action to happen. The decision was already made, days or weeks ago, by a version of them with more clarity and more conviction than the version standing there right now, not wanting to do it. This is why relying on motivation quietly sets you up to fail, not because you're weak, but because you built your entire plan on the least stable resource available to you. You wouldn't build a house on a foundation you knew would shift every single day. Yet most people build their goals entirely on top of a feeling that shifts by the hour. So how do you actually build discipline instead of waiting for motivation to save you? It starts with removing the negotiation. Every time you leave the decision open, "I'll see how I feel," you hand the outcome to whatever mood shows up that day, and moods are not reliable business partners. The fix isn't more willpower in the moment. It's fewer decisions in the moment. Decide once, in advance, exactly when and how the action happens, so that when the moment arrives, there's nothing left to debate. Notice how professionals operate compared to amateurs. An amateur waits to feel ready. A professional shows up on schedule regardless of how they feel, because they understand that feeling ready is not a prerequisite for starting, it's usually a result of having already started. Motivation, ironically, tends to show up after the first 5 minutes of action, not before it. Which means waiting for it to arrive first is exactly backwards. Here's a practical way to think about this: lower the bar for starting, not for finishing. On the days motivation is nowhere to be found, you don't need the full workout, the full chapter, the full effort. You need 2 minutes of movement, one paragraph, one small action that keeps the identity alive. Most days, once you start, momentum carries you past that 2-minute threshold anyway. And on the days it doesn't, you still kept the streak, the system, the identity intact, which matters far more long-term than any single session's intensity. This is also why discipline compounds in a way motivation never can. A motivated person does something impressive once and then disappears for 3 weeks. A disciplined person does something unremarkable every single day, and 6 months later, the unremarkable thing has become a transformation nobody can ignore, including them. Consistency beats intensity almost every time, because consistency is the only one of the two that actually survives contact with an ordinary Tuesday. Let's be honest about something: this isn't about never feeling motivated again. Motivation is wonderful when it shows up, use it, ride it, get extra done on those days. The mistake isn't feeling motivated. The mistake is designing your entire plan around a guest who only visits occasionally, instead of building a system sturdy enough to function whether that guest shows up or not. Here's the identity shift underneath all of this: stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" That question keeps you dependent on a feeling that isn't under your control. Start asking, "Is this who I decided to become?" That question is answerable regardless of mood, weather, sleep, or how the week has gone so far. It hands control back to the version of you that made the decision on purpose, instead of the version currently looking for an excuse. You don't need to feel ready. You need to have already decided. The people you admire for their discipline aren't more motivated than you are on any given Tuesday, they've just stopped waiting to find out. They show up because they decided to, a long time before today ever arrived, and that decision, quietly kept, is worth more than any burst of motivation ever will be.